This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
An incredibly necessary vocal maintenance days for the host, Brett Blakemore, producing vocal maintenance days. Text line, matter of fact, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN, text line 64686. It's open all day, all the time, every time, 9 to noon, of course. What are some completely ridiculous yet completely believable reasons that the host might be out of studio today? Let's fire some of those off. It could be he got lost while walking his cat off leash in the cul-de-sac. Believe it or not, it's happened. In an argument with himself, whether he's more of a puppy or a baby, distracted by supple sides. Anything's on the table, 64686 on a vocal maintenance day Wednesday. Vikings mini camp, heavy focus on the purple today, no doubt about that. But meanwhile, the baseball team got smashed.
Leo 1, swinging a drive, deep right field. Wallner's not even moving. This one's way out of here. Evan Carter with a blast to straightaway right. It's his third of the season.
That courtesy of Rangers Radio, 16-4 last night. And you heard it here, 9 to noon is your home for breaking news, of course. Simeon Woods Richardson would eventually ride the light rail from St. Paul to Minneapolis, the St. Paul Shuffle. Got called up and got hammered on. Alcala, well, he appears to be broken. And the Rangers absolutely crushed. But buckle up, baseball fans. It's David Festa today against Jack Leiter. Looking forward to that, and I'll get to the Timber Tech set list eventually, but Dan Hayes of The Athletic follows the Minnesota Twins. He's going to join me at 11, and we'll get into everything regarding the squad as they operate in a post-Pablo universe at this point in time. And when it got bad, it got ugly, and they had to sit in their own mess for a large part yesterday. So hoping it is better today. Elsewhere on the hardwood, Game 3 tonight.
Shea blasts right away from Mathurin, down the lane, lays it up left-handed, lays it home, and he's hacked in the act. So Gilgeous Alexander not yet finishing touches, but moving in that direction, baby, with an and one.
Hacked in the act. That's the third or fourth time that highlight's been played since Game 2. I gotta refresh that. I'll get some fresh ones after tonight's game. Game 3, 7:30 p.m.-ish, tip time in Indianapolis. The Indiana Pacers hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. Again, Game 3 series tied 1-1. Went into a fair amount of detail about it yesterday. I don't think the Pacers are quite as hopeless as the baseball team looked yesterday at times, late stages of that game against the Rangers. But as far as the Pacers having to climb the mountain they did to win Game 1, and it required memorable heroics from Halliburton. And as we talked about last week, we're still out on the Halliburton nickname. We're out on that. Don't like it. Not going to use it. I just don't know how OKC doesn't find their way potentially in 5 in this series. So as good as it felt Game 1, regression to normalcy Game 2, OKC. As good as Indy has looked playing from behind, they've had to do it multiple times throughout this postseason, finding their way back into the mix. Just keep it low double digits, keep it to single digits, make the push in the fourth quarter. Siakam handles business. Halliburton hits the final shots if need be. This ain't the team to do that against. And I would anticipate that the heavily favored Thunder find their way to victory tonight. But, again, as I mentioned just moments ago, it's a heavy purple focus today as we jump into minicamp madness and Vikes Bites right out of the gates. 9 to noon. Vikes Bites is always presented by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can shop online. A box of meat shows up at your doorstep. You can go to your local Coburns, Kowalski's, and Co-ops as well. But delicious. Local product. Local beef. Clearwater, Minnesota's finest. Thousand Hills. We're going to start with some audio from the first days of minicamp taking place. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, camp. Off day Friday. Somewhat arbitrary OTA week next week, and then they chill until training camp. So really this week is the last time we're truly going to get to sink our teeth into what's going on down in Eagan. Josh Oliver, you heard the news yesterday. He got re-upped, got an extension for the run-blocking tight end. Here he is.
Man, I love it here. We got so many weapons everywhere. We got CD, we got BO on the edges. Working with them, it makes your job easy. I mean, you get all the dynamic playmakers out there. The ball sometimes comes your way, and you're a lot more open, so it makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah, 3-year extension, $23 million and change, 19 and change guaranteed. Could make as much as 27 over the next 3 seasons. And, you know, the combo that, let's let Aaron Jones talk about this. Running back Aaron Jones talking about maybe the way you see it, the way I see it. I'm still picturing some fumbling issues. I'm picturing some unreliability in the passing game. But Aaron Jones feels that he's a necessary cog in this purple wheel.
He's a big part that I feel like doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, but essentially he's another tackle out there playing, and guys don't necessarily know it until he goes to block him or he gets their hands on him. They're like, whoa. And we know it on our side, so I'm excited for him. Glad to have him, keep him here, and continue to run behind him. He's a vicious guy when it comes to blocking, putting his hand in the dirt. I think he's the best in the league, if you ask me.
Yeah, through 2 seasons, it was tough one in 23. Last year, much better, and the run blocking's undeniable. You heard it from Aaron Jones. To the text line, Brandon from New Mexico, is PA out today because he made a late night visit to Taco Bell and ordered $50 worth in the drive-thru. Brandon, are you reading my text messages with PA?
I always love that one.
How did you know? Kyle and Isanti. PA's busy right now recording voice tracks for Mattel's new line of Tickle Me Allen dolls. All very possible. Alec Lewis in studio. Josh Oliver, tight end, your Minnesota Vikings, certainly will be part of the conversation. Somebody that I'm excited to see, and I've talked a bit about in terms of reshaping this defensive line, Jonathan Allen. Loves it in Minnesota. As a matter of fact, during the free agency period, this may have been his favorite spot.
After I knew my time in Washington was coming to an end, me and Blake, we kind of sat down and made a list of multiple things. Scheme, how it was going to be for my family, culture. And after we made the list, Minnesota came up as the number 1 spot. So when I found out there was mutual interest, it was exciting.
More on Allen.
It's a lot. He throws a lot on the playbook, a lot for guys to learn, but that's good. Really gives us a lot of flexibility in multiple situations. So it's definitely a different change of pace, but it's exciting.
Flores' defense, next segment, you're going to get to hear defensive coordinator Brian Flores speaking to the media yesterday. You'll hear his first minicamp presser, and probably the last time you'll get to hear from Flores before training camp in Eagan. Back to the text line. PA's eyebrows blocked his view of his alarm yelling to wake him up. You think he uses his own voice as his alarm?
Oh, good.
No! Sacked!
That would certainly wake me up. There's no doubt about it. Something popping, of course, and it's not an issue or a topic that we've really covered much 9 to noon. And as a matter of fact, I think ultimately something's going to get done. But Josh Metellus doing some drills, maybe not doing others, etc. Josh Metellus talking to the media yesterday. He thinks everything's good. Everything's going to work out.
How tough is it, though, not participating 7-on-7, some of the other stuff that you're so accustomed to?
It's all good. That's part of the process right now. I mean, the coaches, front office, everybody understand, the situation. I'm here. I'm building that chemistry with my new teammates and the old teammates, and I'm here being the same guy I am all the time. So you guys know me. It ain't nothing changed.
How much do you want to be here long term?
Oh, you know that this is home for me and my family. We love it here. Never had a bad experience except for being cut, and that ain't got nothing to do with nobody in this building. So, all I can talk is great things and positive things, and we're doing great things here. So, of course, I want to keep doing that.
Of course, he does. He wants to be here. Family's here. The opportunity that he's gotten here. Prior to the draft. Now, Brett, you were too focused in on you wanted your favorite team to finally draft a wide receiver in the first round for a long time, so you were kind of out of the mix.
Correct.
But part of the reason that I wasn't completely against the idea of drafting a safety, even as high as Thursday night, was when you look at things here, and we love Harrison Smith and its potential future Canton bound and all of that. That is more of a short-term conversation, a year-to-year conversation, if you will, than it has been in the past. You let Cam Bynum go, gets paid down in Indy. Best of luck to him with those Colts, those middling Colts with a quarterback conundrum down in Indy. Maybe he'll be at the Pacers game tonight, as OKC just thrashes the Pacers this evening in Game 3. But you have now a safety room that features Harrison Smith, Metellus, we know that. Jay Ward, who, other than special teams plays, and he's kind of cleaned up maybe some of those offside penalties that he's been offering on field goals and extra points. But Jay Ward, not necessarily somebody, and maybe this is his year to get some semblance of an opportunity, hasn't gotten on the field. Theo Jackson was a camp darling a year ago, and everybody they went out of their way to tell you how many plays that Theo Jackson was making in camp, making in practices, and how integral that he was going to be to this defensive unit, ultimately not getting on the field. And so Harrison Smith still playing at a level where Flores would even himself joke about it. I mean, trying to give him I can't take him off the field. I can't have 2-2 sitting next to me on the sideline. That's just not going to work. So from a depth standpoint, all of that, Metellus, vital to this mix. And therefore, the idea pre-draft, maybe they go with a safety. Maybe they peek their eyes, they put their vision a bit forward Twins are post-Pablo universe right now, at least for the time being, that the Vikings would be post-Hitman at some point, and therefore the safety might be an opportunity in the draft for them. They did not take that opportunity, and I'm pumped to see Donovan Jackson. How about Vikes Bite style? Thank you, Thousand Hills. How about Christian Darrisaw doing drills? I'm excited. That's why with Alec in studio, I'm probably just going to start off with that. Seeing Christian Darrisaw out there trying to picture his timeline as we've kind of fretted over at times in terms of when he's going to be back on the field and active. And you go out and you get school in the short term potentially to provide that fill-in work. Darrisaw's already out there kind of muscling around. Doesn't look full boat yet, but that's a very, very good sign for number 71 and for the Vikings. But with Metellus, I think it's not even a backs against the wall. Got to do it just to do it and fill out the roster. They love Metellus. Metellus works in this defense. And there's clearly a confidence that things will get done, apparently on both sides of the table. Vikes Bites. Now, confidence in the secondary. Jair Alexander's out there. That's a talker. Jalen Ramsey's potentially out there via trade. That's a talker. But what about this guy? Now, show us, please, what you can do, Jeff Okudah. Final Vike Bite, at least for now, before you hear from Flores next segment. Jeff Okudah at minicamp yesterday talking about his opportunity.
What excited you most about joining the Brian Flores-led defense?
Just watching the tape from last year and seeing the things that they've been able to accomplish in the scheme, and just seeing how players can come in here and flourish and play to their strengths.
For you, why was it important to go somewhere where you can play to your strengths? What do you think your NFL career has been like thus far?
I think it's always in a player's best interest to find a scheme that fits what they do the best. That's why I feel like I got a lot of untapped potential. So I try to come in every day, put my best foot forward, and demand the best out of myself for not just me, but my teammates.
Would you say you've been in situations that maybe didn't best benefit you like they do now?
I don't necessarily think about it like that. Try to operate in a mentality that just look forward and not behind, just control what I can control.
When you look at this team on paper and how good they can be, what excites you most about coming to work each day?
I would say that just how we look right now, we have a lot of time to place the ball in September. Me personally, I try not to look at on paper too much because I know that could be pretty deceiving. So just looking at where we're at right now and then the work that we put in thus far and how much more reps we have to be able to achieve two things together.
Jeff Okudah. I'm sure it shocked you like it shocked me. Players look for teams that do things that put them in a spot to be at their best.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting.
Above average at that.
Jeff Okudah, well-spoken, intelligent dude, super talented in the land of opportunity. While we're sweating, and we'll see how this money situation affects. If anything, I wonder if Oliver's cap number would go down in 2025. I haven't had it in front of me yet, so I have no idea. You look at cap money available. You talk about cap concerns a year from now. All of that. Do you take a swing on an Alexander? Do you make the trade for a Jalen Ramsey, or is the confidence, quote unquote, that the Vikings appear to have in their secondary as it exists now, is that sacred? Is that honest? And Jeff Okudah would be one of those guys. Once you get beyond Mekhi Blackmon and Byron Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers, I believe that the defensive coordinator had some things to say about Isaiah, and you'll hear that next segment. But confidence in that secondary, Okudah is going to be part of that throughout the 2025. Gun for hire in camp. We shall see. But that's Vikes Bites, brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef, Clearwater, Minnesota's finest. Thank you for sponsoring Vikes Bites. Thank you for hanging out on a Wednesday morning. TimberTech set list is as follows. You're going to hear from the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, around the corner addressing the media. Then around 9:40, 9:45, Alec Lewis of The Athletic's going to stop here in studio for a few segments until he jumps down to Jersey Mike's and then to the practice facility to watch minicamp. Blake Barrett's Institute for Athletes. Going to do a covenant catch-up with him, not just a guy that certainly with his knowledge and his accessibility in the industry as an agent representing players that we watch on our favorite team on Sundays. There's a big thing happening in college sports and a big settlement that took place at the end of last week, how that impacts college athletics. We're going to have a conversation on that before 11 o'clock comes around, and Dan Hayes of The Athletic joins me, as I mentioned earlier, on the Minnesota Twins. Smash last night, get back after it today. That's the TimberTech set list brought to you by TimberTech. Brian Flores around the corner. It's Nordo in for PA on the Fan. Don't leave.
Our contest page at KFAN.com. Enter for your chance to win a 2-night stay at Breezy Point Resort for 4, including golf. All thanks to Custom One. KFAN.com. Keyword contest to enter today.
KFAN, Bradshaw and Bryant, text line 64686. It's Nordo in for PA. Good morning. Minicamp Madness. Alec Lewis around the corner. Why is the host out today? Is it vocal maintenance or PA attending the annual meeting for National Treasures?
I always love that one.
Another one, this is the most shocking to me, is PA, after all these years, is finally reading one of Mike Florio's books.
I always love that one.
From father of mine, son of mine, grandson of mine. Next fall, courtesy of Pro Football Talks Mike Florio, casual acquaintance of mine, platonic coworker of mine, neighbor of mine. Thank you to the text messages, and keep them coming. We'll have some fun with that with Alec, Blake, and everybody throughout 9 to noon. Having fun, but in the thick of it, business-wise, Brian Flores, Vikings defensive coordinator, speaking to the media yesterday. Good stuff, not only on the new additions, what this thing looks like as he's putting it together, the second year of Dallas Turner, what to expect with that. Some excitement there from the defensive coordinator. Let's hear him with the media from yesterday afternoon.
So it's been a while since I've talked to you guys. Really excited about where we're at in the offseason program, this being minicamp. I think we're trying to build on a lot of the things that, a lot of the foundation that we've laid over the last 2 years. So we've got some guys who have been here and are really showing some great leadership. And we've got some new guys who've come in and kind of learned the system. But really, I would say it's more about kind of the relationship building this time of year, which I'm really excited about where that's going. And it's fun to get out here and work on the communication and the fundamentals and techniques and, some of the things that we kind of hold near and dear to us as foundational pieces to how we want to play defense and really how we want to how we want to get down as an overall team. So it's been a fun off season so far, and excited for the next 2 days. Then we take a break, come back for training camp, and and we start for real. So excited about it all.
Last week, Harrison Phillips was just talking about the versatility of the defensive line with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. I guess, how do you see two guys who could get into the backfield, sort of changing things from where you've been before with this D-line?
Yeah, I mean, those are two great additions. Excited to have both guys, Javon, and J.A., but also excited about, guys like Jalen Redmond who, came on really the entire year. He just got better and better day after day, week after week, and made a lot of impact for us late in the year. Levi, who's, I would say grown significantly from year one to year two. Bigger, stronger, faster, more confident. You see that on the field, you see that in the meeting room, you see that in the walkthroughs. And you combine that with kind of some of the, Harrison Phillips, the Hargraves, the Allen, but really, going all the way down to Taki and John Harris. I mean, we got a lot of guys who have played. There's, a good amount of depth in that room. We're excited about, all the pieces, and as coaches, it's just, who fits where. How do we get the most out of each individual player and the collective unit? So yeah, we're excited about all of them. Obviously, I didn't mention, Ty Ingram Dawkins. He's been a really good addition to that room as well as a young guy, picking things up quickly. We throw a lot at him early. We throw a lot at the new guys, the rookies. They've done a really good job at picking it all up and really just working towards the goal of learning the schematics, but also the fundamentals, the techniques that go within those schematics and working with one another. So that group, I'm really excited about.
Well, what stood out about the way Dallas has approached the offseason, and just kind of where have you seen the biggest growths from where last season ended to where he's at now? Yeah, I mean, Dallas, we talked a lot about him last year and his growth throughout the season last year, and he's just kind of built on that. It's nobody talks about that rookie season where you're in college and then you're training and then it's combine and then it's the draft and then you jump right in and new everything, new house, new ride to work, new everything. So he's much more comfortable, I would say, in this environment. He knows what the expectations are. He's got a high standard for himself, and that's a great place to start. But he also knows he's got to work, a significant amount to get to that standard. I think all of our guys do. And he's come in and really, gotten into a routine that's, I think going to allow him to, put his best foot forward and put himself in position to have the type of season that he wants to have and the type of season we want him to have. So all positive with him. Definitely some growth, or a lot of growth from his standpoint, and excited to see where this goes.
Ryan, with the NFL and everyone being in such a rush to see these young rookies play, how beneficial do you think it was for Dallas to be behind those guys that he was behind last year? I think anytime you're behind or you're with, I shouldn't even say behind, because in that room I really see it as 3 starters. So you're with two guys who are receive all the accolades, and thank you. Receive all the accolades, and obviously are good players. Who've been in the league, have made a lot of plays, who are significant contributors to the team. The best thing you can do, and I think Dallas did this, is just soak up that information. And the two guys he had, they're very different. So. The skills that JG has, the energy that JG brings, the skills that Ginkgo has, the energy that he brings, the different ways they contribute to the team. Dallas, is coming into his own as far as, how he's going to contribute. And it can be in a variety of ways, as a rusher, as a dropper, on the ball, off the ball, in different packages. So, we're excited about, his versatility, but also his growth. And I think being around those two
as well as, guys, the new guys we brought in, Hargrave, Allen, guys who have been around, guys who have seen, guys with Dallas's skill set, to just give them little tidbits about, even if it's just, being a pro, I think it's all good for him. And, but, I think more than any of that, it's Dallas, and his willingness and his want to put his best foot forward and put himself in good position.
Hey, Brian, I don't think we've talked to you this offseason. What was it like interviewing for the 3 head coaching jobs that you did, and how did you feel that all that process went?
I thought that process, was great. Those, being able to, sit in that interview setting and have a conversation for that role is just obviously an honor. And those jobs went to guys who were, certainly, deserved. And it was good. It was a great experience. I enjoyed it. I'm also, very happy to be right where I am. It's been incredible to be here, around KO, around Kwesi, around these players, around, the Wilfs and this organization. And excited about, this year and this group. And but yeah, that was a great experience as well. But I'm very happy where my feet are.
Kevin had mentioned Isaiah Rodgers as a guy that you had on your radar in terms of adding to in free agency. What do you think you've seen from him so far? And then Jeff Okudah.
Zay's been on my radar since he was at UMass. Fast playmaker. I think he's one of these kind of late round guys who found his way, in the league, has a, in the kicking game, and, got in some games and made some plays. And, I've always, thought he was a good player and was ascending. And, when the opportunity presented itself that, we could, you could maybe acquire him, I was all in. And I'm happy we got him. He's been a great addition. He's got great kind of football IQ and acumen. That's something that we've stressed really throughout the group at all levels, secondary, second level, and obviously D-line. And I think it's just a great addition. We talk about, bringing guys in who, as far as building a synergy within the group, how does this guy gonna, mesh with Murph and Harry and Telly? And he's just come in and done a great job from that standpoint. Same thing with Jeff Okudah. We haven't talked about him, but I'll, mention him. He's really come in and, similar to Zay, just, not necessarily found a role because we're not necessarily there yet, but, between lifts and walkthroughs and meetings and, trying to, build a rapport with the guys in the back end, but also the guys at the second level, and asking questions. Both guys have been, great from that standpoint. Excited about them both. I'm really excited about that entire group. We got Mekhi Blackman back out there today. He's kind of getting himself back rounded into form. Nudie, Dwight McLaughlin, he's trying to build off of a good, almost said freshman, good rookie season. And it's a good group, and we also added guys like Ambry Thomas and Khalif and Reddy, and all these guys bring a level of, there's experience there, but also talent that can't have enough in that position.
Relationship building at this point in the season. How do you foster relationship building at this point in the season?
As far as relationship building, I think it's something that's, as coaches, we talk about it quite a bit. I think that's, I think one of the main pillars, I would say, of building a successful defense is communication. And, the best communicators have relationships that are built through, conversation. And it's not just on the field or in the meeting room or, in a walkthrough. It's in the locker room, it's over dinner, it's bowling, it's, those type of fellowship events where, those relationships are built and they show up on Sundays. My hope is that, we build a team that's unselfish, that,
is looking for, not necessarily the accolades for themselves, but the accolades for the group. And if you make a play, then I'm excited. And if I make a play, you're excited. And that's something we talk about as a staff. We highlight it in the meeting when it shows up. Last year they came up with dances to build that rapport. Who knows what it'll be this year. But that energy, that vibe is something that's exciting. That's, we talk about. I tell them, it's not going to come from me. That's not me. I'm going to always be, thinking about the next play. But my joy comes from watching them, have excitement, have fun on the field, and we try to build that, and we talk about it.
Brian, how's Theo Jackson been handling his role so far?
Theo's been great. And that's something we've been saying for 2 years. I think he's, steadily, built his communication skills, his techniques, his fundamentals, his disguises, his playmaking ability. He's one of the hardest workers we have. So look, it wasn't easy to let go of Beasley. He was obviously a critical piece. But, we also felt confident that Theo could step into that role and, play at a good clip. And, he's shown that so far. Again, it's very early, and it's very early stages. But we're just constantly trying to build, a foundation of communication, camaraderie, fundamentals, high football IQ, and he's there in all those areas.
Right, with all the coverages and fronts you guys have run in the last few years, how much evolution is still possible?
I think every offseason, you look at all of it, and now we have 2 years of data. You look at the 2 years of data, what's been good, what hasn't been good, but it's also tied to the players we have. And you try new things out if, based on what you predict and forecast the skill set of the player is. So we've got a couple new guys. We mentioned Hargrave, we mentioned Allen, we've mentioned Zay, we mentioned Okuda. Obviously Theo's new as far as, being more of a, every down or playing a lot more. So what do those guys do? And, we've done a lot, so how much more is there? Probably not that much, but as far as, when we run a certain coverage, when we run a certain front, that can always change. So, something we did on first down, we could do on third down. Something we did on third down, we could do on first down. And so that's ever changing. But there's also things throughout the league. I mean, there's a lot of really good defensive coaches in our league. So, let's pop that tape on and see what, Vic Fangio's doing. Let's see what Spags is doing. Let's see what, those guys are doing. And if there's something that we see that we like and, we think we can implement it, let's try it out. And, if it works, maybe you'll see it in a game. If it doesn't, you probably won't see it in a game. So I think, I'm always open to that. I think we got a great staff, and, there's a lot of collaborative kind of ideas and a lot of, football chatter and conversation that happens in there. Where we're throwing stuff out there and we're, can we do that? Talk to Harry, talk to Telly. Hey, can we get this checked? Can we get that checked? Go up to the front and say, hey, if we were to line up in this front, what does that look like? What do you think? How do you think that affects them? Talk to the offensive coaches. How does that affect them? And, we just put some stuff together and, throw it out there. And then if we like it, we may implement it. If we don't, we move on.
Last couple.
Right, what did you see from Mekhi Blackman in 2023 that he can now build on as he gets back on the field here?
As a rookie, you saw, the quickness, the speed, the acumen. I think he needs to build right on that. It was unfortunate, when he went down last year because he was, we were excited about, the possibility of him playing quite a bit. The way he rehabbed was, it was incredible, honestly. Just kind of watching that. And I remember we're
not late in the year, but we're, October, November. He's up, he's moving around, he's training. And it was, kind of a running joke. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And now we're here, and, to see him back out on the field is, really a testament to his work ethic, his want to, his belief in himself, his just his overall, ability to get back as quickly as he could and get himself out here so he could compete and do what he loves. And that's what we're looking for. I think KO said it many times. We want guys who love to play, who love the grind of it, who love the practice element, the studying element, the meeting. That's certainly Mekhi.
That's defensive coordinator Brian Flores chatting with the media. That's your one shot during this mini camp period to hear from the DC, and then it's off on the chill until training camp in late July. We're going to talk about mini camp. We'll talk about training camp and continue the Vikings heavy conversation here through the first half of the show. Alec Lewis, nice enough to stop by. It's on the way, really. So there's a 3-step process. It is leave Minneapolis, station, Jersey Mike's, and then eventually he finally meets his destination in Eagan. We'll talk about all that with Alec Lewis of The Athletic. In studio next, it's Nordo in for PA on the Fan.
Gear up for a hilarious night when Dane Cook returns to the Island Event Center. See his legendary style of stand-up comedy live at the Treasure Island. That's Friday, October 24th. Get all the details now, TICasino.com.
Welcome back. It's Nordo in for PA 9 to noon. In studio now, Alec Lewis of The Athletic at Alec_Lewis via the X Machine and PA Vocal Maintenance Days. I can't even read. I had asked for text earlier, Alec. Like, what are some completely ridiculous yet completely believable things, reasons that the host might be out today? Well, the host was listening.
Of course.
And
why is he listening on his off day? That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, he you know what? He's supporting he's supporting the fat producer.
That's
and
fair.
We appreciate that.
That is nice.
And we love the host, and he's going to be back in the mix, I think, on Monday. But when I open up the text line to stuff like that, I'm anticipating. I mean, there were a couple of Blue Chew references and some various things.
Can't imagine, really.
The worst ones came from the host. The most inappropriate and unrepeatable ones came from the host himself.
I was listening at the beginning of the show when you tossed the idea of texting in, and I knew he would enjoy.
Oh yeah, he likes it.
Yeah, he would enjoy the idea.
It's all love.
And I was as I was driving here, I'm thinking like, I wonder what I could come up with. But he was at practice yesterday, so yeah. I mean, look, I don't know if I've ever considered him like the ultimate grinder. It's just not how I've always viewed him.
He can't stay still.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
He just got to be doing something. I don't know. I saw him out at practice. He might have been wearing those flip-flops again. I'm like, I don't know. It's just he had an interesting look yesterday at practice. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, hot tub maintenance. That was
hot tub maintenance. So he's taking the videos after the games in the hot tub.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, what are you doing? Like, what does it? I mean, like, that's one of those things. I mean, we're on the air, so who knows what this is going to be. But like my dad, he mentions my dad all the time when I'm on air, and I don't know why, but my dad will listen back sometimes, and he'll be like, "What is this guy? What is up with this guy?" Yeah. Like I can't really rationalize Paul Allen, but
it's been 11 and a half years. I can't.
Right.
Yeah. No,
right.
That's. But it's not about not being able to stay still. Whether it's the racetrack or it's practice, he is in his element. And so he loves it. And he's all over it. And he was sending me pictures. He's like, B-Flow.
I saw his tweet.
B-Flow at the podium.
I saw his tweet. Couple guys look bigger. TJ Hawkinson.
I think he's playing into that now, though. I think he's playing into it. It's not quite as organic as it used to be.
Right. It's more of that's an interesting.
J.J. McCarthy grew 2 inches.
Did he say that?
I don't remember. Minicamp madness as it is, I must ask.
Oh, it's electric. What's
the order at Jersey Mike's?
I actually went yesterday. So it's kind of embarrassing because the best subs they have are your Phillies, your chicken bacon ranch, but I can't eat a big chicken bacon ranch and then go stand out there and feel like I'm a puddle of
it's too hot for that
grease.
Yes.
So I get like I
believe it's the number 43, by the way.
Yeah. I get like a small cold sub, Mike's Way, just your classic.
Okay.
And I don't do onion because when I'm talking to players, I'm just being very mindful of that,
Well, it's actually a good point. I didn't even think of that.
It's all intentionality. Like everything
you do in your life is calculated.
That's exactly right. Like I wear sunglasses during these practices, but then I take them off for the interviews for a couple reasons. One, I want to be able to flag them down and them see that I'm trying to flag them down. And also, I told one of the media people this and they were trolling me. But I was like, in the event, the 5% chance they actually know who I am, they'll recognize me.
Yeah.
With sunglasses, they might not. But
that's a good point.
I don't have a healthy enough ego to think that Justin Jefferson's going to recognize me and walk right over.
When you're talking to somebody, take the glasses off.
Exactly.
Make eye contact.
Yeah, there you go.
It's cool. How about this? And then we do want to catch up. I got you till 10:30 is okay?
Yeah, whatever
All right,
you need.
Sweet. But Christian Darrisaw on the field yesterday, I'll admit I did not expect that. How's number 71 looking?
Yeah, he was like a week ago for one of those OTAs. He was out there for a little bit, just like around, which was great to see. And then we walk out of practice yesterday and he's out there pass setting with Brian O'Neill. And I'm like, man, how long has it been? If I'm right, he tore the ACL at the end of October. That was it, before the halftime of the Rams game on the Thursday night. It's been about 7.5 months. TJ Hockenson returned in 11 months. If you do 11 months from the end of October, that puts us around September. So very good sign. It was great to see him. And he had the biggest brace I've ever seen on a human's leg. But as someone joked with me, well, Alec, like he is one of the biggest humans you've ever seen, which probably requires that brace. But he was moving around. There were some pass sets, like I said, some double team run blocks up to the Mike linebacker. It was good. It's good to see him, and that timing makes you feel really good. Even though I already felt like with the Justin School guy that they added, they were going to be okay, not as great as it would be to have Darrisaw, but good sign for me.
Before we pause, though, last segment I did play the presser from Brian Flores. What did you think of what did you get from Flores yesterday? Whether it was talking about new faces in the building, Isaiah Rodgers. You wrote a cool piece that I want to dig a little bit more into next segment about Dallas Turner, but he spoke on the Alabama kids' second season upcoming. What'd you think of Flores?
Yeah, he mentions the whole roster when he does a press conference. I mean, you're getting mentions of Ambry Thomas and Reddy Stewart and Tavier Thomas.
Was there a Tyler Batty mention?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but trust me. I mean, this guy, no. I thought Flores, I thought it was good. It was the first time, like you said, that he's talked really since all of the free agency stuff happened. And I mean, a couple things you could tell, and we've heard this, how much he loves Isaiah Rodgers, the cornerback. He said that he has eyed Isaiah Rodgers since he was at UMass, and he really likes both the athletic traits, the playmaking,
Minutemen football,
and the IQ. Yeah, Minutemen football, nothing better. The other, the Dallas Turner stuff, nothing that he said yesterday differed really from a lot of the conversations we had with Flores last year about Dallas Turner. He did kind of catch himself at one point. He's like, Dallas was behind John. And then he's like, you know what? He actually wasn't behind. He is like, Flores said, I view Grenard and Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner as 3 starters, which, didn't surprise me because I know that's how he feels, but was good for him to say. And then, as far as defensive evolution goes, you could just tell that they've got stuff in the bag that will be different from the last 2 years. And really the question from my angle is like, what more could you really show? You've played every coverage, you've done but maybe it's different fronts, maybe it's more stunts, maybe it's different checks from players defensively. So it was good to hear from him. He takes a lot of pauses and is very methodical with it, and it was good. It was good.
I was thinking about it. I didn't have enough time to do it. Brett was handling some other business, so I uploaded the press conference. And I did think to myself, because I've done the Common Man, Dan Cole.
I've heard of him.
He follows the 9 to noon presentation. And I used to do this bit. Now, actually, I believe Brett does it. It's called Fan on Demand at 6:30.
Yeah.
And it's just 24 minutes, 10 seconds. That is the audio window. So you got an open, you got to close, and then I want to throw in a couple of segments. So one time I'm stuck, so I got to use some Common.
Been there.
And I was able to take about 13 minutes of audio, and I just zoom in, and I find the pauses. Got it down to 7.
I mean,
got it down to 7 minutes. So, and bless the defensive coordinator, there's some similarities there.
No, and look, like, but it's one of those things where he's talking and he like gets to an answer and he's like, Isaiah Rodgers, great IQ, pause. And you're like, all right, what about, and then he keeps going. And Jeff Okudah, and you're like, I can't follow the cadence of his verbiage. But no, it was great to be out there yesterday. I will say that. Like we can get into Oliver Cinch and the Metellus and McCarthy and all this stuff, the Dallas Turner thing. But the one thing I will for you guys listening to the show that I would like to get across is it has been a very not walkthrough-ish type pace, but pretty close to that out there. Like even the mini camp yesterday, you walk out there, you wonder, is it going to ramp up? And it's very methodical. It's very, you're not seeing anything really with the trenches that you can have an eye on. So it's, I'm not going to lie and act like I'm seeing 11-on-11 smash mouth football out there.
Well, but it also, maybe that's a product of, this is a coaching staff. This is a regime, quote unquote, that has been here a number of years now. And a lot of the personnel changes that have taken place, I mean, everything's revolving in the offensive side around J.J. McCarthy. But for the grand scheme of things, you added so many veterans. So there isn't necessarily the proving grounds don't feel to be necessarily as ripe as they were, with a younger rookie-laden class coming in. There's some undrafted cats that want to get a chance to play snaps. But for the most part, the scheme is set, the staff is set, and now a lot of guys with a ton of experience under their belt are just trying to find their way within that. So maybe a little more chill.
Yeah, and there's there was like a 20-minute period where you could tell it was just kind of JJ going through specific protections at the line of scrimmage and calling out we're going to slide here and identifying the defense. So it's one of those.
Do you log his attempts and completions?
No, absolutely not. I've said this many times. If you do that, then you might as well at the U.S. Open this weekend while Scotty Scheffler's on the range, track his shots. And you're like, and you guys would be like, what's he even hitting with? What pin is he aiming at? That's like literally the comparison that I use for this. But, like the days yesterday where JJ's at the line of scrimmage getting the protection set, like it's so unimportant for me who's trying to evaluate these throws. But come week 1 in Chicago against the Bears, like that's you get the chance right now to ensure that on that night it's not a disaster at the line of scrimmage. So that's kind of how these things go.
Okay. Well, let's dig into those Metellus and Oliver topics and some Dallas Turner in terms of a piece you wrote and a couple other things. As it's kind of mini camp madness right now. Again, mandatory mini camp taking place this week. Day 1 was yesterday. 2 more, Wednesday and today and tomorrow, before kind of, I call it an arbitrary OTA week next week. And effectively they're off.
We'll see.
Until training camp begins at the end of next month. Alec Lewis, the Athletic, in studio with me for a couple more segments. In earnest, the second hour is next on The Fan.